Hi, everyone. My name is James Cox, and I'll be presenting portion of the final demo for Group 1's project for server-side web development. So, starting off the design philosophy for this cycle, we had a working app. We liked the functionality of it. We got all of the main components and such that we wanted done for this semester. We got that done in last cycle. So this cycle was more of a testing, making sure that the app is robust, little bug fixes here and there, and of course deploying it to a live service. And that's what I wanted to highlight first is up here we can see that this project is deployed through render, so it's a live website, and all of our components are still working on it. That's great. Second thing I wanted to mention is last time I had a little bug for the Lord of the Rings quote down here at the bottom in the footer. And what it would do is it would kind of refresh. It would show a quote really fast, and then it would refresh and come up with a different one. And I found out why that was doing that. It was kind of interesting. What was happening is whenever you first build your React app, it'll run it in what's called strict mode. And what strict mode will do is it'll actually render some components twice. So if you have functions like component did mount or component did update, it'll run those functions twice as it's rendering the whole component twice. And that's what was happening is I have the function for delivering the Lord of the Rings quote inside of a component did mount function. And so that's what would happen is it would run it once and then it would go ahead and run it again a second time and show a completely different quote. We just went ahead and we took off the strict mode functionality. We're just running it as is. And as we can see, if I refresh the page, allow the location, it only updated this quote block once. So that was great. And we did a lot of changes for the design. We like the color scheme. We think it's got a good clean functionality. As far as testing goes, we're using both Cypress and Jest testing. Cypress for the AI to click all of our links and make sure they're going to the right places, and also Cypress testing, or excuse me, Jest testing for unit tests, making sure that components are actually getting mounted, checking for keywords, are elements being displayed properly, stuff like that. I think that's all that I wanted to cover for this portion of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to the other group members, and they can cover the rest. Thank you.
Thanks, James. This is Maria with Group 1. I'm just going to run over some of the functionality of our custom start page. I'm going to start with the weather widget. The weather widget, as you can see, is loading when it first launches because it is pulling the location of the browser. Another way to do this is to go into the user config file and put in your zip code, and I will go over that in a bit. And you see if I allow the location, then it is pulling the weather data. It's got the forecast, temperature, expected precipitation, and it is updating the daytime, nighttime icon based off of the current time of day. Next we have the trivia widget, which does show you if your answer is correct or incorrect. And it'll generate a fresh question when the page first loads. Next we come over to the news widget. This uses GNews API to populate this list with the latest top headlines, and we can click on any of them and be taken to the source of the article. The recommended sites or favorite sites widget uses Icon Horse API to generate the logos for the websites, and this is a user customizable list of websites. And of course, we have the Lord of the Rings quote that generates a fresh quote on load, and the Google search bar, as we demonstrated in the previous phase, just houses a window that shows the search results. If we take a look at the user config file, I can put in my name and my zip code, and it will use this to generate the weather and the greeting on the app. So if we go to one that I loaded with the updated user config, you can see how it displays here. Still has the trivia, the news, the search. And if we look at our websites, I actually changed the websites that I wanted on the list. Initially, it starts with Wikipedia, GitHub, YouTube. I added Twitch to mine, as well as Reddit, Outlook. And to get the proper logo for the website, it is important to update the URL and also the ending of the URL for Icon Horse. It is also possible with the user config to toggle which widgets are active on the app. For this final phase, we also updated our README. This now has some information about the start page. It lists the packages you may need to install, and we have a brief breakdown of what each widget is, how to customize them, and down here, updating the user config JSON file. We also included a bit of information, just links to our individual GitHubs. As you can see, our app is deployed on render. It really came together, and that pretty much sums up the functionality that we covered in this final phase. And now I will hand it over to Nick, who will discuss the project inspiration and why we chose our layout and our Figma mockup. Thank you.
Hello, this is Nick Miller from Group 1. I'm just going to go over our project a little bit, talking about the process, the design, the inspiration, and everything that kind of went into it. So, I was never actually very satisfied with the Firefox new tab page. I'm a Firefox user, I prefer it, but I have also used Chrome and looked into Edge and find them both dissatisfactory as well. So if I'm to open a new page here, you have a gray background, a big Firefox logo, search bar, which is good, and then all of these links. I think the default is actually like 2 rows. So this is okay. It's very streamlined, which is nice. But I'm not really a big fan of the layout. I feel like we could do more with it. So that's kind of what we started with. The idea was to preserve the good stuff about these start pages like Firefox or Edge, but then to kind of edit it, to kind of make it more visually appealing, maybe a little bit more fun, hopefully a little bit more productive. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. So let me go ahead and show you the Figma file for it. So we started off with this Figma mockup, and this kind of got our ideas in order for what we were going to do with the project. I personally am like very invested in the design element of web development, so I kind of did my own take on that, and this is what I came up with, and my lovely group members said that we should go ahead and use this. So this was the base inspiration for the project, at least in terms of layout. So what I have here is a big search bar, links, news, weather, trivia. Later we added the Lord of the Rings quote. And if you look here, you can see all of those elements represented in their final form. So when it came to designing the page, I used a lot of inspiration from general Bootstrap practices. So, I have the cards here. We have the container deciding the width. But I also looked into Google's Material UI Design guidelines, which I believe these colors are based on that, and the colors of the cards are based on that as well. And I used that just to make sure that text would be legible enough for accessibility reasons. And I think that it worked out pretty well. I also added the font Montserrat for the body text and Stoke for the title text, which I think looks really nice as a combination and a lot better than the default browser text. I'm a huge fan of Stoke up here. I really think it is effective. And I overall put a lot of focus on just making it look clean, making it look cohesive, and I think that we did a pretty good job here. So that's about it, really. Thank you.